The history of America is rich and complex, beginning with the lives and works of Indigenous American tribes. These Indigenous people have had a huge impact on society, and we are still seeing the effects of that today. Though this side of history often goes unspoken, with the discussion of Indigenous Americans' past being so dominated by colonisation, we don't often discuss these tribes outside of a sweeping collective. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at 3 particular Indigenous tribes that were once feared. Mohawk Tribe. The Mohawk Native American Indian tribe of the Northeast Woodland Cultural Group were a tribe of Native American people who were fierce and dedicated members of the Iroquois Confederacy, a league of 5 tribes. Within the Iroquois Confederacy, there were 9 Mohawk tribe representatives, 3 from their 3 clans, Turtle, Wolf, and Bear. The living spaces of the Mohawk tribe spanned the estuary of Mohawk River of the Mohawk Valley in upstate New York up to southern Quebec and eastern Ontario. Being situated in this manner earned them the nickname and role of Keepers of the Eastern Door, given to them by the Iroquois Confederacy. This title meant the Mohawk tribe assumed the position of guarding the Iroquois Confederacy against eastern invasions. A defining characteristic of the Mohawk tribe were their violent war techniques and willingness to engage in battle. This built a reputation as a fearsome and brave tribe. One enemy they were often quick to wage war against were the Algonquian speakers, who lived geographically beside but far from harmoniously alongside the Iroquois-speaking Mohawk tribe. This language divide was a defining trait for the common split between ideologies, not just for the Mohawk tribe, but between many Algonquian and Iroquois speakers. Throughout these battles, the ruthless nature and excelled skill of the Mohawk tribe saw many victories, perpetuating the feared reputation. The tales of victory became more commonplace and won with greater ease following the introduction of Dutch firearms. These weapons were acquired through trade with the Europeans, largely trading fur and agricultural produce. Primarily, the Mohawk tribe were a hunting, fishing, and farming tribe, though their reputation as a tribe to be feared comes to mind far quicker than farming. The fear of the Mohawk tribe was encouraged through the tactical and calculated attacks, accompanied by the reckless, merciless attitude held towards captives. Throughout the French and Indian War in 1754 until 1763, the majority of the Mohawk tribe formed alliances with the British, through a minority of Catholic converts formed against the alliance in the Canadian settlements of the tribe and supported the French. Throughout this history, this largely pro-British alliance remained, continuing through the American Revolution 1765 until 1783. The Mohawk tribe began to lose its instrumental and influential power as they dwindled in numbers. Many historians attribute this to interactions with Europeans, introducing diseases such as smallpox, which rapidly spread through the tribe. The most famous work of modern members of the Mohawk tribe are the Empire State Building and the George Washington Bridge. These phenomenal monuments are undeniably high profile. The continuation to provide from the state of New York and the dangerous nature of these construction projects is a testament to the brave and feared history of the Mohawk tribe. Shawnee Tribe. The Shawnee Indian tribe were one of Ohio's many Indian nations and were perhaps considered to be the most feared out of all of them. The name of Shawnee in the Algonquian languages the tribe spoke may have been derived from Shawan, meaning southern. Some, however, have found connections to the word suggesting it means those who have silver. The rich meaning behind the name Shawnee Tribe, however, isn't the extent of the history surrounding the tribe's name. Ontowagana was the name placed upon the Shawnee Tribe by the Algonquian rivals Iroquois, meaning people of unintelligible speech. Despite their feared reputation, Shawnee people were typically known to be peaceful, avoiding and never seeking out conflict until they themselves were threatened. Many have said the Shawnee tribe stuck solely to and abided only by the rules of their people, forming a resistance against the outside influences and pressures of others. In the year 1600, there was an estimated Shawnee population of 10,000, living along the Ohio River Valley, stretching over what today is known as Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, and the west of Pennsylvania. The Shawnee Tribe continued to prosper until 1630, when the Iroquois peoples began to conquer tribes living in these regions. Bizarrely, despite conquering the land, the Iroquois never lived within the Ohio River Valley, maintaining it purely as a mark of status and a hunting ground. This loss of land caused a division within the Shawnee Tribe, with half of the group encompassing south to eastern Tennessee, a quarter moving to Illinois, and the remainder living within central and southern Pennsylvania. This is where the feared reputation arguably began, moving into already densely populated spaces and aiming to share land with other tribes, predictably resulted with both other tribes and the slowly increasing number of American colonies becoming involved in regular conflict. Through 1758, many members of the Shawnee Tribe had been able to relocate themselves, moving back to the Ohio River Valley. The Shawnee Tribe made numerous allies, even those opposing one another, fighting alongside the French in the French and Indian War of 1754 to 1763, but assuming the role of allies with the British throughout the 1776 to 1783 American Revolution, aiming to prevent colonist settlers within the Ohio River Valley. Following the American Revolutionary War, a series of treaties and agreements were made to aid in peaceful cohabitation between the Indian tribes and colonists. In spite of this, colonists spread their own regions, pushing these limits and boundaries until they simply took back land belonging to various tribes. The British aided the Shawnee Tribe throughout subsequent attacks and conflict, even offering guns and gunpowder to them, further heightening the dangerous and feared reputation. After this battle in 1805, the Shawnee had begun to see a turn towards spiritual and traditional beliefs, under the advisement of the Shawnee prophet Tenskwatawa. It was said that Tenskwatawa had the power to expose Shawnee who did not follow traditional beliefs, could cure disease and prevent loss of life or illness that had the potential to occur through battle. The ongoing colonist tribe battles continued, reaching a peak in 1830, with the introduction of the Indian Removal Act forcing the Shawnee Tribe out of Ohio into Missouri, leaving Ohio once and for all. Kiowa warriors at Fort Sill. The Kiowa people are a Native American tribe led from 1850 to 1921 by Big Tree, a Kiowa warrior who followed the Fighting Chiefs Party. One of the most common associations with Big Tree even today is the Fort Sill Battle. The purpose of Fort Sill was originally to prevent border raids by the Native American Indian tribes. This particularly impacted the Kiowa, Comanche, and Apache tribes, who were becoming overrun by Texas settlers and tribes migrating from Kansas and Nebraska. In 1870, Plains Indians declared open warfare against American settlers. Fort Sill is often considered to represent the battleground for this war, as it was used to house some of these tribes and prisoners of war taken from the Apaches and Kiowa tribes. It was in 1870 when the reputation of the Kiowa warriors began to build, as Chiefs Santana and Big Tree adopted a ruthless approach, killing Warren Wagon Train in Texas. This revolt was bragged about, held as a proud achievement at Fort Sill. Those members deemed responsible for the assault were arrested and stood on trial for the crime. This relatively public trial further solidified the fear element the Kiowa tribe were able to elicit. Those on trial marked a pivotal point in legal history, as the accused Kiowa warriors were the first Native Americans to be put on trial through the American civil courts. Whilst these men were ultimately sentenced to death, the speech Santana gave surrounding their suffering spared the lives of many of the Kiowa men. Throughout their times as prisoners of war, the Native Americans did not remain locked away and physically imprisoned as we may imagine today. They instead assumed agricultural roles. Many saw the way to end this conflict was to have an outright winner, with one population ultimately being defeated. It was these thought processes that resulted in the Red River Wars of 1971, with the headquarters for American troops being Fort Sill. Despite a loss, the fort became occupied by the Kiowa tribe, others who they had fought alongside, and they had allowed American colonizers who had been expelled to remain too. Fort Sill today is the last active military post from throughout the Indian Wars. You can visit and take a look around if you find this history particularly fascinating. though due to it still being an active military post, you would have to be searched when you enter. The forced actions and lack of rights imposed upon Indigenous peoples led to an aggressive and harmful stereotype, still perpetuated by laws and social discrimination today. The actions of colonists and European invaders were hugely detrimental to many already established societies, and yet the preventative actions are often deemed aggressive and subsequently feared. It wasn't until 1924 that Indigenous peoples in the USA were granted the right to vote, and this took a further 50 years to be implemented across every state. The mistreatment of 2.7 million US citizens continues to be a problem, no matter how feared our history books paints their ancestors to have been. But what do you make of these tribes that were known as feared? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.